So you want to buy a house in Italy for €1? Go ahead, Google it. You'll find thousands of articles calling it the deal of the century. A stone villa in a medieval hilltop town, terracotta roofs, olive groves, the Mediterranean sun-baking centuries of history into walls that were standing when Columbus was still in diapers. €1, less than a cup of espresso at a Roman bar. Here's the paradox. Italy has over 5,000 villages classified as dying, slowly being abandoned as young Italians flee to Milan, Rome, or London. Regional governments are so desperate to reverse the hemorrhage that they are literally paying foreigners to move in. Some municipalities offer grants of up to €30,000 just to renovate a house. Others offer a monthly stipend for the first few years. Mayors are cold calling expats in Germany and Australia, begging them to come back to life what's left of their towns. And yet, the villages keep dying. That's not a quirk. That's not bad marketing. That's the actual economics of rural Italy talking. And if you're thinking about joining the wave of expats chasing this dream, you need to understand what the brochures won't tell you. Because the €1 house isn't a gift, it's a contract. And buried in the fine print is a version of Italy that the tourism. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in. Yes, the house is €1. In places like Mussomeli in Sicily, Cinquefrondi in Calabria, Ololai in Sardinia, or Fabric di Vergemoli in Tuscany, you can technically acquire legal ownership of a property for the price of a gumball. But here's your real entry ticket. A mandatory renovation commitment of anywhere from €15,000 to €50,000, depending on the municipality, to be completed within 3 years of purchase. Miss the deadline, and you forfeit the property and potentially the deposit you put down as a guarantee. In some schemes, that deposit is €5,000, non-refundable. Now add the renovation reality. Italy's building codes for historic structures are some of the most stringent in Europe. You can just gut the place and install IKEA kitchens? You are working with the Soprintendenza, the government agency that oversees cultural heritage, and they have final say over what materials you use, how the facade looks, and in some cases, what color you are allowed to paint the shutters. Authentic limestone? Approved. Modern insulation panels? Have a nice bureaucratic fight. The average realistic renovation cost for a €1 property runs between €80,000 and €150,000. That's not a rumor. That's what expats who've actually done it report on forums and in interviews. Add architect fees, mandatory for historic buildings, structural surveys, legal fees for the purchase, and the cost of navigating Italian bureaucracy, which, if you don't speak the language, means paying someone who does, and you're looking at a total entry cost that rivals a small apartment in Bologna. Then there's the dirty work nobody mentions. These aren't move-in ready fixer-uppers. Many of the €1 houses have been empty for 30 or 40 years. Roofs collapsed. Mold has eaten through the walls. In some cases, the plumbing is shared with an adjacent property, whose owner hasn't been located in 2 decades. You're not buying a house. You're buying a legal obligation to restore a piece of cultural heritage on a tight timeline in a foreign country in a language most buyers don't speak, under a regulatory framework that moves at geological speed. That's your entry ticket, not €1. Try 6 figures and 3 years of your life. So, if it's this complicated, why are people still doing it? Why are expats from the US, Germany, the Netherlands, and Australia lining up to buy crumbling buildings in villages with no hospital, no supermarket, and sometimes no reliable broadband? Because they've understood something about Italy that most people miss. Italy isn't a real estate market. Italy is a lifestyle arbitrage play. Here is how the math actually works for the people who win at this. The typical successful buyer is looking for a return on resale. They not flipping. They converting their cost of living. A fully renovated 3-bedroom stone house in rural Abruzzo cost them €120,000 all. In that same house, rented to tourists for 6 to 8 weeks per year through platforms like Airbnb or Vrbo, generates between €18,000 and €30,000 in rental income. That's a gross yield of 15 to 25%, figures that would make a London property investor weep. And if they reliving there themselves? The cost of living arbitrage is even more significant. A remote worker earning a Northern European or American salary in a village where a full restaurant dinner costs €12 is effectively getting a raise without a promotion. But here's the real hidden mechanic, the one that turns this from a lifestyle purchase into a geopolitical bet. Italy's flat tax regime for new residents. Since 2017, Italy has offered a flat tax option for individuals relocating to Italy from abroad, a fixed annual payment of €100,000, regardless of foreign income, for ultra-high net worth individuals with significant offshore earnings. This is the Monaco play at a fraction of Monaco's property prices. And for the villages themselves, the hidden mechanic is even darker. They are counting on the cultural cachet of their own decay. The more picturesque the abandonment, the more ivy-covered the ruin. The more atmospheric the emptiness, the higher the international media attention, which drives the expat buyer interest, which funds the renovations, which keeps the municipalities alive. They are monetizing their own decline. The dying village becomes a brand, and foreign buyers are the product. Let's put faces on this. Triumph first. Joanna Coles, a British journalist who purchased a house in La Marge in the late 90s for a sum that would be laughable today, documented her renovation journey in a memoir that became a minor international sensation. The house cost her a few £1,000s. The renovation nearly broke her, financially and emotionally. Today, that property is worth well into 6 figures, sits in one of Italy's most sought-after rural regions for foreign buyers, and generates consistent rental income. She bought before the wave. She understood what she was buying wasn't the property. It was access to a version of Italy that was about to become globally desirable. Then here's the story of Cinquefrondi, a small municipality in Calabria that launched an aggressive Euro House campaign in 2019. Mayor Michele Cania went viral after an international media blitz. Within months, applications poured in from buyers across 17 countries. The town's population had been declining for decades. It had lost more than half its residents to emigration since the 1970s. The campaign didn't reverse that trend, but it did something more immediate. It funded dozens of renovations, brought in external capital, and put the town on the map in a way no amount of regional government subsidy could have achieved. A calculated media play that cost nothing and delivered everything. Now, the disaster. A family from the Netherlands, documented in a Dutch investigative piece in 2022, purchased a €1 property in Sicily under the standard scheme. They had the money, the enthusiasm, and a solid renovation plan. What they didn't have was an understanding of Italian cadastral records, the system that tracks land and property ownership. The house they purchased had a disputed boundary with an adjacent property owned by a family whose patriarch had died intestate, leaving a legal tangle involving 14 potential heirs spread across 3 continents. The renovation was halted by a court injunction. Legal fees consumed €40,000. After 3 years, they had a partially renovated house they legally couldn't complete, a deadline they couldn't meet, and a municipality that moved to reclaim the property. One bad day. In their case, it was the day they skipped the deep cadastral search and trusted the local realtor's assurance that everything is in order. And that phrase, "everything is in order," is the most expensive sentence in the Italian property market. Let us run the numbers. 2 scenarios, same house, same village, different operators. Scenario 1. The Optimist. You buy a €1 house in Abruzzo. You budget €100,000 for renovation, finished within 2 years. You convert it to a vacation rental, operating April through October. Average weekly rental rate, N, €1,400. Occupancy rate, 70% across the season. Annual gross revenue, approximately €34,000. Subtract platform fees, cleaning, maintenance, local tourism tax administration, and property management if you are not living there. You net around €22,000 per year. Return on total investment, roughly 22% gross, 16 to 18% net. You break even in under 6 years. Then the house becomes a machine. In this scenario, you also benefit from Italy's super bonus incentive, or whatever iteration of it survives the current political cycle, which at its peak offered a 110% tax deduction on renovation costs for energy efficiency improvements. If you structured the renovation correctly, the Italian government was effectively paying you to fix the house. Scenario 2. The realist, same house. But the renovation hits unexpected structural issues, a common occurrence in buildings that are 200 or 400 years old, and costs balloon to €160,000. The timeline slips past the 3-year deadline. The municipality grants an extension, but only after administrative delays that cost you 6 months. Your Airbnb income is solid, but a change in local tourism regulations, a real and accelerating trend across Italian municipalities reacting to over-tourism pressure, restricts short-term rentals in historic centers. Your occupancy drops. You are now looking at a net yield of 6 to 8% on a significantly higher capital outlay. Meanwhile, the village's population hasn't recovered. The local bar closed. The school has 12 students. The nearest hospital is 40 minutes away. The expat community you were counting on for social fabric has partially drifted to other villages, other countries, other dreams. You have a beautiful house in a beautiful landscape, and the isolation that looked romantic in the brochure now feels like something else. And the deeper risk nobody prices in: Italy's political economy. The flat tax regime that attracted high net worth relocators could change with the next government. EU regulatory frameworks around short-term rentals are tightening, and Italy's chronic inability to sustain long-term policy consistency, 3 prime ministers in 4 years for most of the last 3 decades, means the incentive structure you planned your investment around is subject to revision at any moment. The real number that mattered, according to a 2023 study by the Italian real estate consultancy Scenari Immobiliari, approximately 60% of foreign buyers who purchase rural Italian properties do not achieve the rental yield they projected, not because the properties are bad, because the operational complexity of running a short-term rental business in a foreign country, in a foreign language, under a foreign regulatory framework from abroad, is systematically underestimated. Here is what Italy's dying villages are actually selling you. They are not selling you a house. They are selling you a fantasy of escape, packaged as a bargain and priced at the cost of your operational competence. The buyers who win are the ones who treat this like what it is: a small business acquisition in a foreign jurisdiction, not a lifestyle Instagram post in stone. They do the cadastral research. They hire the right geometra and architect before they sign anything. They run their renovation like a project manager, not a romantic. They understand that Italy's bureaucratic timeline operates on a different temporal frequency than the rest of the developed world, and they budget for it financially and psychologically. For the right buyer, the remote worker with a solid income, the retiree with capital and patience, the small investor who wants tangible assets in a politically stable Western European country, rural Italy is one of the most compelling plays available right now. The combination of undervalued assets, lifestyle arbitrage, EU residency access, and genuine rental demand from the global travel market is not nothing. But not nothing is a long way from €1. Italy's dying villages will survive, not because the government saved them, not because nostalgia won, but because enough foreigners did their homework, accepted the complexity, and decided the price was worth it. The question isn't whether the opportunity is real. The question is whether you're the kind of person who thrives in complexity, or the kind of person who buys the dream and discovers, somewhere around month 18 of a renovation that's already 3 months over budget, that the dream was never the house. The dream was who you'd have to become to finish it. And in Italy, that might cost you considerably more than €1.